everyone, my name is Sophie Hebdidge, and about a year ago my co-founder and I started a business called Project Kitchen Table, which we have since shortened to PKT. And today I really want to talk to you about our kind of like journey to our product, because we've made some quite interesting decisions along the way. Brett's talk was particularly interesting to me because he talked a lot about smart speakers and a lot about assistants. Our product is all voice-based, but it's not an assistant and it's not a smart speaker. So hopefully I'll seed some ideas that we can do other things with voice than just assistants and just doing it on smart speakers. Cool. So first of all, I'm going to set the scene and tell you what my business is, and then I'll talk through kind of our journey and some of the obstacles and decisions we've made along the way. I might have to restart my slides. So, good social skills protect our mental health and our well-being. Vocalizing your thoughts, I don't know if anyone else has done this, but like sometimes when you say something out loud, it kind of helps you process it. Yeah? Vocalizing what's happened to you is as protective to your mental health, is as self-soothing as meditation. We are looking at teenagers in particular, and Headspace, Calm are really trying to expand into that market. But can you imagine trying to tell a child that has behavioural problems, mental health distress, to sit in a corner and meditate? It's kind of ridiculous. But most kids are pretty good at chatting. Yeah, getting some nods. So we have a communication problem. 85% of all phone use is now silent. That's not what it was designed for. 2/3 of us apparently have no one to talk to about our problems. That's a stat from BBC Skills, and that really hurts our mental health. So 45% of kids that are diagnosed with mental health problems, and 1 in 4 children is diagnosed with mental health problems, also have poor communication skills. And that means that they cannot benefit from traditional therapies. So you can't have CBT, for instance, which is the most common therapy if you're not able to communicate well. Okay? I'll stop talking about mental health now. But that's our kind of problem space. That's what we're trying to find something to solve. So we're building Kit. We call Kit a digital conversation partner rather than a voice bot. But Kit is designed to arm teens with social skills and social confidence that they need to express their emotions and manage their own mental health. So, when we first started building Kit, I thought, it's a voice bot, people need to talk to it, because that's as self-soothing as meditation. Whack it on Amazon Alexa. Now, what is a traditional voice experience on Amazon Alexa like? It's public, so the majority of interactions via Amazon Alexa or Google Home, a smart speaker, are in a shared space. Especially with the teenage market, when we did some of our early user testing, a lot of the parents wouldn't let the kids have the devices in their bedrooms. It's all command driven. So I bark orders at Alexa. I don't know if anyone else does the same. But it wasn't conversational in the way that we really needed our product to be in order to give them that new skill, new confidence. All the slides. I'll just press play. Oh, I've lost the internet. Oh no, it's back. Okay. And they're generic. Okay, so all of those interactions are, I get the same interaction as Yvette gets, and they're not personalised to me as a user. If you look at any other app you have on your phone, it's personalised, right? So we needed our experience to be private. So in a special space for that child, to feel like they have kind of ownership over that experience. We need it to be conversational rather than command driven, and we need it to be personalised. So Alexa was kind of out of the picture because it wasn't it just wasn't fit for purpose. So we started building our new prototype, our next product, on people's phones. So we're building a voice bot within an app, which is slightly different, I know. This is what it looks like. So this is kind of one snapshot of our experience. It asks you questions out, like it will say them as well, verbally. These will appear in time with what that recorded message is saying, and then if you want to actually speak back to it, you have to press and hold on this button so that it will record what you're saying. I won't record it, it will listen to what you're saying, and then you will get an appropriate response back. This is kind of our first shot at this as UX. I don't know if it's right or wrong yet, but we tested with over 230 kids over the weekend, and they really seemed to get it. Give it to an adult, they were like, what is going on here? No idea. This is how I built it. So at the moment, it's all a React Native front end. We're using a library called React Native Voice for the voice recognition. I built our natural language understanding in the back end. It's a Python back end. And then all of our verbal outputs are just pre-recorded. So if anyone has the pleasure of using our app, you'll hear a lot of my voice and a lot of my co-founder's voice. Speech to text is coming soon. And yes, when I am testing it, it does make me hate my co-founder just a little bit more. She's not in the room, so I can say that, because all I hear is her voice. So there are new problems with this new way of building an experience. It is a new UX experience, that holding down the button and pressing it and waiting for a response is new, it's different, people aren't used to that. But the kids we're targeting are kind of okay with it. We'll see if that sticks. And also the voice recognition is just subpar. That React Native voice library is not great, really. And I've had to do some real magic in the back end to make it kind of even vaguely resemble a conversation. But we are kind of working towards improving that as we prototype further and further. But with new problems come new possibilities. So first of all, we can massively increase our accessibility here. We went to a school over in Hackney for kids with special needs. And we had a girl with a stammer try and use our first prototype on Amazon Alexa. Obviously, that is a complete no-no for her. You have to answer Amazon Alexa in 7 seconds, and it takes her about 30 seconds to get something out. That's just the nature of her disability. And we didn't want to exclude people like that. We also had a lot of people that used our first prototype. They wanted to talk about their days for longer than the 7 seconds that Amazon Alexa allowed, and Amazon Alexa was just frankly interrupting people. So it enables us to just elongate that conversational piece for those that want to talk a bit longer, for those that want to talk a bit less. Distribution is also way easier. Most teens have phones in their pockets, right? We've also got more control over our data. So obviously with Amazon Alexa, potentially a bit less with Google Home, all of that data that runs through that platform goes straight through those tech giants as well. I wasn't particularly comfortable with that, considering we're dealing with a potentially very sensitive topic. So another reason we moved off of the platform, but this gives us the opportunity for us to retain control of the data that our users are putting into our app and their experience. It's also easier to discover, so discovery for voice bots is notoriously really hard. We can distribute our voice bot through the App Store, just like you would any other app. And we've also got more control over the conversational flow. These are very wonky bubbles, aren't they? Sorry about that.
They're great.
They're fine. So you talked about intents a little bit. An intent-based system just purely does not work for the way we want to control our conversation. When I built our first prototype on Amazon Alexa, I'm not ashamed to say I just funneled every single thing through one intent. Which is not the way those platforms are designed. Even using something like Dialogflow was really kind of constraining, and I made about 6 different Dialogflow things. It was a nightmare, so I just ripped it all out and built my own. But that gives us the ability to, instead of having that command-driven conversation, we can drive the conversation from the back end so that the user has a all-round better experience. So what I just want to leave you with is, when you think of voice tech, think beyond Alexa and Google Home, think beyond the smart speaker. I would also now, having listened to Brett's talk, think beyond the assistant on there, but obviously I didn't have time to change my slides. It's a really interesting journey we're on. I'm not saying we've cracked it yet. We're still pre-launch, we're playing around with it, but hopefully that's seeded you with some ideas around using voice tech out of the kind of traditional voice tech mold. Thank you.
Fantastic. So, any questions?
Yeah, what's the goal? I mean, I get it. It's a really good idea, but when you design a conversational flow, you need like maybe a goal, objective. Like where are you directing the conversation? How do you decide how to direct it?
We expect our users to use the app, and we're pre-launch, so like these are all just our ideas at the moment, at 2 points in the day. So in the morning to like set themselves up for the day, and at the end of the day to reflect on it. And we'll get some users that use just one, some users that use both, some that use it multiple times. But that means that we can actually predefine like 5 questions that we expect to be answered. The user can go roughly off course, but we do need to figure out a way when we design that conversation to bring them back round. Right. Yeah. Okay. But it's not an easy thing to think about.
Hi. I think it's a profound idea, but clearly there's
real support. But that role and responsibility does not sit within an app; it sits within professional services.
I was very intrigued by your passion there. I've been there as well, created a startup, and I noticed you overcame a lot of hurdles.
Yes.
You frequently said you hit a wall, and then you gave your own solution, which proves you're very good at delivery, which often in the startup world is the most important thing. And I noticed there's a few questions, particularly about your vertical. But would you consider pivoting in your strategy and maybe applying your technological platform to a different vertical?
What would you consider my vertical at the moment?
Well, seeing from the questions, obviously we're talking about your teenagers and your solution there, which is a very niche in this whole AI platform. And it's intriguing that you know, obviously to deliver a product you've got to hit a niche, otherwise no one understands what you're doing. And I'm just intrigued, generally intrigued about the way you address problems but came up with a solution, whether with that ability, whether you'd be able to apply that to other pivoting into other areas.
So what, solve a different problem?
A different problem, which in this scenario you're talking about teenage problems, and a few questions were specifically is that vertical, but I'm sure your platform could be applied to other verticals.
Yeah, okay. Very passionate about teenage social confidence at the moment though. No, it's a good point, yeah, we could. I've not considered that though.
I want to ask a question about rolling your own NLP stack.
Yeah.
So you kind of use this React library and Python, but you said that you did some kind of back-end wizardry to make it. Could you elaborate a little further on that, please?
I did some real wizardry. So I trained our back-end at the moment for some of the conversations. In particular, that question, the one question screen you saw, we only expect it to come back with 2 answers. It's like a simple classifier problem. So I just need the data that goes in to come out with 1 of 2 answers. When the voice recognition library picks up, like if you said into it, I'm a chatter, it could come up with anything from absolutely to cheese, cheddar, anything that's like vaguely related to that. It doesn't, the data that we train the 2 answers on, if you looked at it, you'd be like, how the hell do those 2 lots of data fit with those? So we basically have trained the back end based on the inputs of what the very poor voice recognition library comes out with at the moment, which is a real interesting hack.
Are you doing anything to kind of like bias what you're listening for at that. So Alexa, one of the reasons they ask for like slots and intents is to kind of bias towards. We want these certain waveforms to most likely be these words.
Yeah. So we're not doing that in the room, but it's something we would consider. Yeah.
You could just use the Python backend libraries.
Yeah, we like that.
What libraries are you using?
In the back end?
No, you're using React front end, right?
Yes.
But use the backend.
Yeah, but I have some I have some concerns about sending raw audio.
Okay.
But
interesting.
I mean, a privacy concern.
yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'm up for discussion on that. I'm not convinced by the way I've done it, and I'm open to other points of view.
That's in TensorFlow.js.
Yeah.
But have you talked about accessibility and distribution? Have you considered as well opening up through phone numbers? Moving the app entirely and actually, through API, like the Nexmo API, Twilio API, kind of opening up to just call a phone number. And
the problem I have with that is that it could potentially feel very human, and at the moment it very purposefully is not a human.
You could make the bot, talk in a robotic manner with text to speech into the conversation.
Yeah.
I work for Nexmo, so that's interesting. But from a distribution perspective, everybody has a phone number.
We also, one of the other problems we found with Alexa, which I didn't put on here because devices have changed a bit, but the lack of visual element was a real negative because people just felt like they were talking to a cold hard lump of metal, which they were. Now with the show and Google Home Hub, we potentially wouldn't hit that wall as much, but potentially on the phone, I don't know, it's a possibility. Yeah.
Go on. You talked a little bit about the new habits that need to be built for people to use, for teenagers to use the platform. I think it's a super interesting point, and I wondered if you had any tips on how to validate something when new habits are required in order to use it.
Yeah.
So how do you test that in a way that you can distinguish between a habit that you can encourage people to build and something that's just not intuitive?
Yeah. It's a really great question, and it's like a really big barrier we face all the time is that kids don't want to talk out loud. They're so comfortable typing, but that does mean that we are losing the kind of art of conversation. And I think with the rise of the smart speakers and people getting more adept at kind of using them around the home, and I even see a lot of my friends answer the phone like this now.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And a lot of, I think this is maybe a women's thing, but my friend won't do it because she doesn't want to get her makeup on her phone. So whether kids are actually getting more used to kind of being more loud in public spaces, I'm not sure. But because it is a new habit, it's really hard. And we also really struggle with user testing because children are not easy to access. So it's hard for us to rapidly prototype. If you the lean startup just cannot apply for us because we can't wander up to people in coffee shops and ask them questions. It's really tough. You've hit on two of our biggest issues.